Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1767 of our daily content grind. You know what we haven't done in a hot minute? We have not had a very badly written top 10 list from a, quote, major site to make fun of in a long time. So let's do that. This popped up on my feed a while back, and we need to kind of discuss this a little bit. So this is from MovieWeb, and this is the 10 most powerful Transformers ranked. By the fact that you have two movie formers on there, two of the Bay formers, you can already tell it's probably not going to be all that accurate. So you would be right. I read through this list and basically shook my head several times at several points. So this is an article by Richard Fink. Richard Fink is the latest to drum up a top 10 list about Transformers while doing only the most basic cursory research you could imagine. Make no mistake, the entire reason why this list exists is for Google's search clicks. That is it. To make sure the names that people search for a lot in Transformers are in a recent article that will come up on Google and get the site a little bit of attention. Well, here is the absolute wrong type of attention to actually get. This is someone supposedly trying to put forth some kind of expert opinion on who the most powerful robots in disguise are, and he claims as such. See, why should you trust me? I have been writing MovieWeb for 4 years and have covered the Transformers franchise in deep dive analysis, including how Linkin Park defined the Transformer films, and how the Transformer movies reflect the war on terror. You can already tell this guy has his head up his own ass. Like literally, those are not articles you write if you are a sane human being. So, you can already tell this is going to be ridiculous. And he claims that we're considering several factors, particularly consistency across various incarnations and their depictions. So, yeah, we're not gonna concern with that. We're gonna talk about that just a little bit. So let's talk about this. So the first one on the list is Grimlock, and already this list is completely null and void. I'm sorry. Frankly, Grimlock is a powerful Transformer in and of himself, compared to normal Transformers. But if you're going to literally claim the most powerful Transformers, Grimlock doesn't even sniff the top 50, let alone in the number 10. More than earns his spot on this list. Absurd. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. And in fact, he is mostly referencing the live action version of Grimlock, who is a strong soldier there, let's keep in mind. He was captured and strung up by Lockdown for millions of years. That doesn't scream powerful warrior to me. He got punched out by Optimus Prime. Like, this does not scream powerful warrior to me, much less the most powerful. There is no iteration of Grimlock who is among the most powerful. We'll rewind to Grimlock here. In a bit. But for now, we continue. Here's Devastator. And again, this is where I started to be able to tell you did this for Google clicks, because those are two prominent names that do not belong on a list of the most powerful Transformers ever. Devastator is usually pretty easy to handle as far as combiners are concerned. You don't even account for things like Perceptor being able to knock Devastator apart with a single shot. Pretty sure Optimus Prime managed the same thing, if I remember correctly. Being the first combiner does not make him the most powerful. In fact, in a lot of ways, it makes him the weakest. I would say the Combaticons have fared better in battle than him. I'd say, like, other times, even Menasor has done so. It's just inaccurate, in the least. If we're talking the most powerful combiners in Transformers, you have to go to the likes of Predaking, who admittedly also does not have the greatest track record. But, I would go, the top of that list goes to, like, Lio Kaiser. Because he is a character who could stand toe-to-toe with Starsaber. A character who is, by the way, more powerful than most of the characters on this list, including Grimlock. because that was an era where you had anime logic on your side. We'll be talking about that shortly as well. But no, we've seen how easy it is. Skids and Mudflap could take on Devastator on their own. That doesn't bode well. Sentinel Prime is also a ridiculous one to include on this. No. So there are iterations of Sentinel Prime who stand as main villains, but you had a D16 who was not fully powered up yet defeat him in one-on-one combat. This Sentinel Prime is marked as a powerful one-on-one opponent. So like in both incarnations, he is a threat that requires the combined forces of Optimus Prime and Megatron to kill. In Transformers 1, that is not true, as Orion Pax was trying to stop D16 from killing the guy. But it's also not true in Dark of the Moon, because they didn't fight him together, they took turns. Basically, Sentinel Prime lost because Megatron basically got in a sneak attack. Basically shot him in the back while he was distracted trying to kill Prime. And then Prime killed them both. So, no, they didn't combine forces. They took turns. It's like saying Goku and Vegeta combined forces. No, Vegeta fought him on his own and then tagged in Goku when Bulma threatened him. That's the situation here. No, there's no iteration of Sentinels that powerful. None. See, okay, now Trypticon, you're starting to get somewhere. He's a Titan. Across all of his depictions, if anything, Titans have only been upscaled in power since the original iterations, and there are no easy answers for fighting a Titan outside of another Titan. So Trypticon actually does have some argument for making it on this list. I would still argue, however, toward the lower end of the list as we start getting into far, far stronger Transformers, just by very nature. So this one, I will give you. Trypticon, you could make an argument of actually being on this list. I will give you this one. And by nature, yes, that does mean Metroplex gets to be on here as well. This said, Metroplex is the rival of Trypticon and usually bests him in battle. That's just how G1 worked. That's how most fiction with both of these guys works. But in a lot of iterations, Fortress Maximus is the more powerful of the Titans. And spoiler alert, he's not on this list. Again, this list is not about presenting facts, even though this man claims to be an expert and researched. Oh, I've done 2 very pretentious articles on Transformers, so you can trust me when I say I know what I'm talking about. I've worked on this website for 4 years. I've worked on this website talking about Transformers for over 15. I might know just a little bit better here. See, I don't ask them to deep dive TF Wiki. I ask them to do some cursory research and actually come up with genuine answers to lend some credibility to what they are talking about. Metroplex shouldn't be on this list because Fortress Maximus should be on this list instead. That's just how that goes. See, and then Megatron. This is absurd. Let's be real. Megatron, and I've described this before, is actually a lower tier villain when you think about it. He's villain of the week category, you know? Like, he's not one of those that shows up, gets beaten, and retreats in almost every fiction that he is in. There are times where he's definitely more dangerous, and he's always one of the primary threats in the Transformer universe. But there's many, many opportunities and times when a stronger enemy comes in. There are times when Shockwave is more powerful. There's many times when Starscream is more powerful. And to post a picture of movie Megatron on here is laughable. Like, genuinely laughable. This is, hands down, one of the weakest Megatrons in fiction. He's got one victory over Optimus Prime across the 5 movies he was in, and that took Starscream and Grindor helping him out in order to achieve. That's not that impressive, nor is him being killed by Sam Witwicky before he could finish off Prime in the first movie, or getting one shot by Prime in the second movie, or or getting killed by Prime in the third movie, even though Prime was down an arm, or being Kelsey Grammer's lapdog in movie 4, and then again easily being beaten in movie 5. This is a sad Megatron. This is a very unconvincing Megatron. No, not on this list. Now, the Fallen could be on this list, but again, this is obviously from someone who really has not done their research beyond just cursory things in the live action movies. Now, in the live action movies, yes, the Fallen would be one of your most powerful, but this is an article that claimed at the top, all across fiction, just because you weren't in a live action movie doesn't disqualify you. So that does imply that he is actually accounting for all the characters not in the live action movie verse. Well, I'm sorry. This version should never be on there. Ever. So, okay, in the live action series, he serves as Megatron's master and the true leader of the Decepticons, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, Transformers 1 in the comics. The Fallen's figure whose legend serves as inspiration for Megatron, ancient, evil, powerful. Megatronus the Fallen from the Dreamwave books would cook this one alive. Remember, again, the Fallen was in one fight exactly in the movies and lost easily. He's not that powerful. He's just old. He spends the first scene hacking and coughing. He is not powerful. He's just not. Now, Optimus Prime, you could make a case for, but again, we're using the live action, and the live action really is not that powerful. So again, this is not doing the deep dive it takes to actually count Optimus Prime as one of the most powerful. Now, and if you look at this article, at no point does it actually mention that he's the lost member of the 13, the resurrection of the 13th Prime, which is debatable. It depends on the fiction, etc., but you can't discount it if you are actually, as he says, including all iterations. I'm going to, I will make my arguments toward the end. What Optimus Prime should be in here, it should be easy. We've discussed power scaling before. Optimus does belong on this list, but not any that he is describing, not any that he is depicting. So here's the easy one. Here's where he goes in, we're toward the end of the article now, so now he's softball throwing. Now he's throwing the ones that are obvious, because just by having these on the list, he thinks this is validating himself. He thinks this is actually now counting as, look, I've put the obvious most powerful Transformers at the top of the list. Congratulations. You have looked up the word Transformers on Wikipedia. So yes, Unicron absolutely deserves to be on this list. There is absolutely no doubt of that whatsoever. And as does his other, Primus. Now, obviously, Primus is the god of Transformers in the first place. So, yes, he would be the most powerful of all Transformers, keeping in mind he's not always a Transformer himself. Let's see. As the creator of the Transformer species, it's difficult to place Primus anywhere other than the top spot on this list. He's at least number 2. He is at least number 2. Maybe lower than that, but I could make an argument that he is not number 1. So here was the game that I played with myself after I read this farce of an article. I went back to the beginning. I went back to the very first entry, the Grimlock, who more than earns his spot on this list. And all I had to do was come up with names more powerful than Grimlock. And that was shockingly easy. Okay, so let's see here. So there are the other leader characters from the extended Japanese G1 fiction. Scorponok or Mega Zarak, Black Zarak especially. Six Shot, absolutely more powerful than Grimlock. That's not even close. We get, remember, when we start getting into the animes in the extended G1, you actually start going into a different type of logic when it comes to power levels. Now, the bots are getting bigger and bigger. Remember, like, technically, when you're looking at characters like Star Saber, they are gigantic compared to past Transformers. When you look at Star Convoy, he is gigantic compared to standard-sized Transformers. They aren't Titan scale, but they are very, very large. You know, like Star Saber on his own would be bigger than Jetfire size. Like, he'd be a little bit taller than Jetfire if you were actually to put them side by side, because they wanted the characters to start getting bigger and more powerful. So you start including everyone in that scale. So, you know, your Overlord is more powerful than Grimlock. Your Death Stars is more powerful than Grimlock. And this isn't even getting into the weird ones like Dark Nova. Now you're talking a completely different level of power that Grimlock couldn't even look at. Like, yeah, not even close. Not even remotely close. And that's not even just sticking into Generation 1 canon. Like, we could even argue Starscream on this list. Keep that in mind, because there are moments in fiction where he's absolutely the most powerful Transformer around. When he had control of the Underbase, when he had control of a war world in the Matrix of Leadership in the G2 comics, when he had control of the Enigma of Combination in the Machinima series. As rough as that series is, that is still an extremely powerful Starscream that was depicted. All of those beat Grimlock. All of them. And I don't even have to start digging. Let's dig. Screw it. Let's dig. Remember how I said, like, because anime just tells different stories, it scales its power differently? Well, we can go even further into that. We can go into the likes of Lio Convoy during his green power-up during the ending of that series, or his Flash power-up, arguably both equally powerful, able to take on gigantic superpowered Galvatron, who is also more powerful than this Grimlock. I mean, frankly, Galvatron himself is more powerful than this Grimlock. So, when you look into the animes, you start, okay, so that counts too. Galvatron especially, once he's been Unicron possessed, but technically counts as Unicron in this list. So, if we go into the Unicron, if we go even further, so like car robots, your Omega Prime, especially once he's actually wielding the Matrix Blade, there's an even more powerful version of Optimus Prime than anything this list covers. I make the exact same argument if we go into the Unicron trilogy. Like, Cybertron Optimus Prime has the whole burning justice thing at his disposal. That, like, we've seen him execute enormous amounts of power. We've seen him grow to gigantic size in the Energon series in order to battle Unicron fist to fist. That is an incredibly powerful Optimus Prime. You know, so, like, this is why, like, different iterations need to be on a list like this, because you just cannot compare G1 or Movie Prime to that level of power. And the fact that he's fighting off threats like the Unicron trilogy version of Unicron, Megatron, Galvatron, all the Trons, that does also put them on a far different power scale as well. I mean, even that Starscream had moments of power bigger than anything Grimlock's ever done. And even then, we're not getting into even, like, the real power scaling here. So, like again, Devastator, you're trumped easily by Lio Kaiser, power scale-wise there. Sentinel Prime, Tripticon. Okay, none of this. No one should be on this list except for Unicron and Primus. And to put them below number 1, the only word it takes is alternity. If you are including every version of Optimus Prime, then Optimus Prime needs to be at the top of this list simply because the alternative version of him exists. But in that same breath, you could put Bumblebee up on the top of this list. The alternatives I've explained before. If you haven't heard the explanation, it is a multi-dimensional version of those characters, combining literally every iteration of Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, etc., all into one being, who is of such absurd level of power, they are no longer capable of existing in the physical universe. The toys you see during Alternity are avatars that they have to possess just to interact with the physical world. They are so powerful, they've ascended to a plane where physical form no longer exists. Primus, for all of his power, can still exist in the material plane. He is still part of the universe. Alternity is so powerful, it expands beyond any known universe. And Primus himself is kind of a focal point. He is just as powerful in every universe that we have seen him in, and there's nothing that increases his power, whereas Alternity technically continues to gain power every time a new Optimus Prime comes into being. I will point out that only really applies for the Autobots in Alternity, as the Decepticons are mostly imitating that level of power, but I would still say their likes also should be on this list somewhere, as they can stand toe-to-toe with some Alternity Autobots. But you know, no one knows what Alternity is. It's a small footnote in a Japanese toy line. So obviously, Sentinel Prime, major villains, major characters, like this is, look at the names. Just look at the names. You're never going to see a Rung on this list, even though he can create Matrix. Like, you're never going to see Tarn on this list, even though he is incredibly threatening on his own. No, you see Grimlock, you see Devastator, you see Sentinel, you see Metroplex, you see Megatron, you see Optimus, you see names that will come up when people search on Google, and that is literally the only reason this article exists. And to paint this in any other way, like you are some kind of expert, Richard Fink, you're full of it. And you're full of yourself. Take your bachelor degree and shove it up your exhaust port. You are not a Transformer expert. You like literally. How many of us are on socials? You could have just DM'd any one of us and went, I'm trying to make a credible list. Can you help me out? You were paid to make a list that would get clicks on Google, and that is all this is. No, I don't trust you. Not in the least. So there we go. That's just me wanting to make fun of a weird list that came up. Like I said, I kind of have fun running down these people claiming to be experts. And this is just another opportunity to do so. And because of the way these clickbait sites work, we will continue to be able to do this. Yeah. And considering they have an AI logo right on their UI, I'm pretty sure. This might not even be a real article. But all that said, that's going to be it for me today. I'm just having a little bit of fun at someone who claims to be an expert. So I will leave it at that. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.